Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me for another installment of Slab and Gab today, where we take a look at a slabbed card or slabbed cards from my collection and talk about them for a few minutes. And I'm really excited about today's installment because, as the title implies, it is time to unveil my second kind of big fish card of 2022. So I did talk about recently when I unveiled the first big fish of the year pickup for my collection, this Mark Messier rookie card out of 1980 O-Pee-Chee hockey. Mentioned at the time that I am looking to celebrate my 15th year in the hobby as an adult here in 2022, and also my 40th birthday later this year. So pretty big year for me collecting wise, and nice life milestone there, turning the page on my 30s and moving into my 40s, and wanted to reward myself with sort of a special year in the hobby. So I've made a list of big fish that I am missing and have always wanted to acquire that are within reason. There's no 52 mantle on this list, but there's some pretty big cards nonetheless. And I'm happy to say that in the second month of the year here, February, I now have the second one to share with you after the Mark Messier. And as a little bit of foreshadowing, the Ted Williams there in the background is not here by coincidence. This is a 1955 Topps card that we're going to look at today. I am working on trying to complete the 55 Topps baseball release. Would love to get the whole set in my lifetime, picking up the commons in raw shape and getting the Hall of Famer and star cards PSA graded. So I've shown that Ted Williams that you see there in the past. That was part of a pretty epic flip that I did with a soccer card a couple of years back now. And the card that I'm going to unveil today is one of the two big monsters in the 55 Topps set. And those of you that collect vintage baseball, immediately probably know the two names that I'm referring to. There are two giant rookie cards in the 55 release. And my second big fish of 2022 is one of them. It is one that I've wanted for many years. One of, at least for a short span there, the most effective and dominating pitchers in the history of the game. Finally got my Sandy Koufax rookie card. I am absolutely ecstatic over this one. This is a good plus 2.5, you can see here. That's what I tend to look at when I buy 50s baseball cards, slabbed. I've talked about this, many times now. You're probably tired of hearing me drone on about it, but when it comes to vintage, I just want the card and I want it to look nice and be very visually appealing and presentable, which I think this Sandy rookie card is. But I prefer to find a lower grade that looks, very good for the grade, so that I can spread my hobby funds around and, do some damage on other cards. I could have, waited and tried to get this Koufax in a 4 or something, and it would have cost me twice what this example cost me. And this is all I ever need. This is a beautiful looking card. Primary reason I think this got a 2.5 is the upper right corner here. It's a little tough to make out, but it's definitely a soft, that's upper left, Shane. Corner is a little bit soft there. The centering isn't perfect, but it's pretty good, especially for this release. And overall, it just looks amazing. The color is strong, very vibrant card. Just super pleased with this one. As I said, it's one of the two tough cards to get, or toughest cards to get from the 55 release, the other being the Clemente rookie card. So it's nice to kind of knock off one of the two monsters in the set build pursuit. I have a lot of commons left to go, but I try to take the approach of getting the most difficult cards first, because I figure if I can't afford or obtain the most difficult cards, I might as well find that out early on before I get too far along in my set pursuit. So feels great to have this Koufax in hand. I think I'm up to, about 30% of a complete 55 Topps set as far as number of cards go. But as far as expense goes, this one was a doozy. I paid up for this example, as you will with any example of this card that looks nice and clean like this. It's simply not a cheap card to acquire. Here is the back, which is also very nice and clean. No issues here, no paper loss, no You know, the color and vibrancy is good. Good look at the cartoon. Just really stunning. I don't need anything better than this. I've really been smiling since this one arrived a short while back. Have shown this off to a couple hobby buddies over text message, but wanted to get its moment in the sun here on the channel. And obviously, I'm not going to give you a full breakdown of Sandy's career, but as everybody knows, he was, you know, he had a 4-year period where he was arguably the most dominating pitcher in the history of baseball. From, you know, 1963 through 1966, in those 4 seasons, he won 3 Cy Young Awards and arguably could have, you know, swept and won 4 Cy Youngs, you know, coin toss, but he actually finished 3rd in Cy Young voting in the 1 year during that stretch where he didn't win the award, which was 1964, but still 3 out of 4 Cy Youngs and a 3rd place Cy Young voting in the other year. That was an outlier. And then also in those 4 years, he received MVP votes in all of those seasons. He won the MVP in 1963, and he was 2nd place in National League MVP voting in both 65 and 66. So, you know, 3 top 2 MVP finishes and 3 Cy Young Awards in a 4-year stretch. In my mind, the most dominating 4-year stretch for a pitcher in the history of baseball cards. And that, obviously, that run, you know, really endeared him to collectors and, you know, made him go down in history as one of the best pitchers of all time. You know, fascinating that he had to retire or chose to retire due to health reasons at a relatively early age. He was done, you know, in Major League Baseball when he was still just, you know, I think it was his age 30 season was the last season that he pitched. So not too bad. I believe, I don't know if this is still the case to this day. I think it is, but youngest player ever inducted into Cooperstown, just because he quit right in his prime. As I said, finished after his age 30 season. And so he was only like 36 years old when he actually got the call and was inducted. So a prime case, you know, they say with the Hall of Fame, it's, you know, either longevity or peak that gets you in. And in his case, you know, he is probably the best example of peak years being what gets you into the Hall of Fame. He only pitched for 12 years total, so he just barely made the, you know, the required 10 years to get the call. But that 4-year stretch from 63 through 66 before he hung up the spikes really cemented his legacy and his place among the all-time greats. So I've gabbed on long enough, but suffice it to say, really excited to add the Koufax rookie to my collection after all these years. This is one that I've literally wanted a copy of since I was a young boy, seeing pictures of it in Tough Stuff and Beckett magazines back in the 90s, and feels great to reel it in here in 2022 as part of my celebration of 15 years back in this hobby. So that is a wrap for today. Thank you for joining me to check out my Koufax rookie. I will hopefully be back a few more times throughout this year, showing off some big additions like that, but certainly pleased with the start that I'm off to in January and February here with the 2 cards that you see in front of you. So certainly shaping up to be one of my better years on the collecting front here in the early going, and looking forward to seeing what else I can track down and share with you as the calendar moves forward. So appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I will certainly be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Until then, take care, everybody.